These guys are
3 degrees south of the equator in the land of the Maasai. Here, close to the Tanzanian border with Kenya, stands Mount Kilimanjaro, the highest freestanding mountain in the world. Surrounding Kilimanjaro, a vast landscape of dense rainforest and parched African bush. This is the venue for Extreme Africa, the ultimate ultra-endurance event.
The only way I could really describe this was probably the idea was forged in hell on a bad day.
I'm just looking for a challenge, the ultimate challenge.
Over 12 days, 11 men carrying full kit will run 4 marathons and climb 3 mountains with a total height gain of 33,000 feet. That's equivalent to climbing Everest from below sea level, while enduring temperature changes of up to 60 degrees centigrade.
Extreme Africa is the sort of thing that I'm going to be really proud one day, I hope, to tell my grandchildren. It's an extraordinary adventure. And in life, we sometimes, in a very sort of safe society in which we're living, which is of course a good thing, we forget the importance of adventure and fun and challenge. And this event is about making us all better people. We're all going out there to challenge our concept of limitation, to overcome our shortcomings in all sorts of different ways. It is for all of us about going one step beyond our limits.
Former Khmer Rouge hostage Chris Moon lost his lower right leg and arm in a landmine explosion in 1995. But he's gone on to explore the very limits of physical endurance, encouraging those around him to do the same. This contest has attracted participants from around the world, including America, Australia, Great Britain, and members of the Tanzanian Olympic team. Day 1. Rising at 6 o'clock in the morning from camp at 4,800 feet, the competitors embark on their opening challenge. It's billed as a warm-up, no more than a day up and down, but a steep climb through rainforest with oxygen levels already well below those enjoyed at sea level makes for a tough introduction to the event. The summit of Longido is definitely not for the faint-hearted. It's a sheer drop from all sides of this steep rock face. Access to the summit's made possible only with the aid of fixed ropes, some gritty determination, and the willpower not to look down. At this stage, the team are fired with enthusiasm and the benefit of months of hard training. Everyone makes the summit, but Walt Toll has his first challenge taken on the group.
Day 1. Reasonably tough, but it has been designed as a gentle start to the event. Great to get people acclimatised. One thing that does worry me is that we've got a few blisters among some of the team. Talk to them, most of them, about how they can tape their feet up to try and stop the rubbing tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be really tough.
Enjoying a high carbohydrate meal to boost their energy levels, the competitors welcome the warmth of a blazing fire before retiring to their tents. Nylon cells they can call home for the time being, in preparation for a 5:30 wake-up call and the unusual experience of tea in bed. Well, almost in bed.
Tea or coffee? This is luxury. I've never been anywhere where they bring you tea in the morning like this.
It's just 12 hours since the descent from Longido, and complaining muscles must be well prepared for the punishing task ahead.
Can we just orientate ourselves here, Jeremy? That's Meru over there.
Kitty's over that way, and you're going to go pretty well straight in this direction to the 20k mark.
Moja, mbili, tatu, oh!
The ultramarathon is 70 kilometers of sheer hell. Endurance running through the wilderness of the African bush. Robert Treadwell establishes an early lead, closely followed by Elwyn Marfell-Jones. The following pack includes the legendary Ironman Chris Moon. Powerful headwinds lash the runners' faces and the morning sun increases in intensity. The temperature's risen to a debilitating 30 degrees centigrade. Water stops every 10k offer welcome relief. Out of the dust, an emergency jeep appears. Steve Busenko is unable to maintain his early pace. He develops chest pains and shivering from exhaustion and dehydration, leaving the doctor no alternative but to pull him out of the race. Robert Treadwell reaches the halfway mark in the lead and refuels. 35k behind and another 35 ahead, his pace slows to a walk.
Absolutely shattered.
Nevertheless, he keeps ahead of second-place man Elwyn. Robert crosses the finish line in 7 hours and 8 minutes.
It was just so tough. Oh, just ran out of steam. I had diarrhea last night and I had to jog the last 15k, walk it, sort of jog a bit, walk a bit. Oh, everything aches.
Quite a daunting experience to be into an area where if you didn't have colleagues running alongside you, you'd be totally isolated.
The rest of the runners, at least 3 hours behind, plough on through unforgiving terrain as the sky slowly darkens.
Keeps me off the fags at least.
The Maasai runners, with their extraordinary natural fitness, seem to have no trouble at all in maintaining the pace, covering the vast distance with relative ease.
Thank you. Thank you. Is it finished?
Day turns to dusk, and dusk to night.
From the 30k mark onwards, it just went on and on and on.
It's almost 12 hours since the start as the back markers arrive. Chris Moon and 19-year-old Peter Goran cross the line together, with Nick Coronius 5 hours behind the winner, bringing the 70k ultramarathon to a close.
Okay, where's the bed?
The new day dawns, allowing only a few hours sleep after yesterday's race. With aching limbs and tremendous resilience, the competitors launch straight into the third stage of this Extreme Africa Challenge. A 3-day climb of the 15,000-foot Mount Meru, carrying rucksacks weighing over 20 kilos each. Enduring wet, slippery conditions and exceptionally steep terrain, it's as much as the climbers can do just to haul themselves upwards as high altitude takes its toll and their suffering bodies begin to starve from depleted oxygen levels.
Yeah. Swap packs with me, you'll still be carrying a pack.
No, I'm not.
Swap mate. Alright, up we go, Dave.
With David Marsden having faltered under the sheer weight of his pack, Peter Goran appears to have sweated out most of his bodily fluids, and Chris Moon advises him accordingly.
Get drinking, close, dry off with a towel. You want to drink 2 litres now, and let me know when you have a clear piss.
I get your trousers off as well.
Somebody's getting water.
The strain of the event is starting to tell, yet ahead lies a 6-hour climb to the summit. The group sets off in darkness to enable a descent in daylight. Minus 15 degrees and almost 15,000 feet up, altitude sickness tightens its grip on even the fittest of the group. Robert Treadwell, the ultramarathon winner, is brought to his knees in severe discomfort, suffering pounding headaches and intense nausea. Determined to reach the summit just a few feet away, he urges his exhausted body to one final effort, and together with his fellow competitors, stands triumphant on top of Mount Meru. Day 6. The single marathon from Mount Meru to the Maasai village of Tinga Tinga. Joining the runners with a traditional Maasai welcome are members of the Tanzanian Olympic marathon team. A bizarre cross-section of footwear lines up for the start of the race.
Moja, mbili, tatu.
A short distance away, the field approaches the first waypoint, the nearby local market, where the locals stare in disbelief as the runners pass through. The damp dawn air is soon replaced by searing heat and dust. Pace is vital.
It's very easy to start too quick and regret it later. Got to keep it steady to start with. I think the best training aid is to have an open mind and enjoy yourself what you're doing.
First 10Ks, killing me. I'm just looking forward to getting it over and done with.
This is the hardest but most scenic marathon I've ever done.
Yesterday really took it out of us, so I'm trying to make up for it now.
Chris Moon reaches a water point to attend to his prosthesis.
What I've got is I've got a series of little blisters that have popped. So I need iodine. That's what I need. Yeah, they've all popped, and I've got the remnants on the back.
Since losing his two limbs, Chris has competed in most of the world's toughest foot races. He remains a tireless and powerful competitor, providing huge inspiration for the whole team.
It was a lot different than I expected. It's much more challenging, and I'm just looking forward to the next 7 days. Hopefully, coming out on top.
With the last marathon I struggled, so I just had to stop on the doctor's advice. With this marathon, considering I was almost pulled off Meru yesterday, I was quite pleased with the time.
When I came down off Mount Meru, managed to force down some breakfast, so I knew I had to eat something to have any chance of running a good marathon the next day.
The conditions for the double marathon were harder because we were running into a wind that was coming up from the south, and we spent most of the time running into that wind. Today we've got the wind on our right side or behind us, so you're not getting the problems with dust. But it's a darn good race, and people seem to be doing very well.
The heat is not too bad because the wind is very strong. It just creates a lot of dust, making it difficult to breathe. This mess, I need something to tie his shoes up with.
Unbelievably, the Maasai run in shoes cobbled together from old car tyres, amounting to little more than a pair of rubber flip-flops.
Today's the toughest day for me so far. And I've got a bit of stump trouble today that's really slowed me down, so without doubt this is my biggest challenge.
A rousing Maasai welcome at the finish line at Tinga Tinga sees Robert Treadwell once again crossing the line in first place with a time of 3 hours, 3 minutes.
That one's for the kids.
And happy to express his feelings.
Champion!
Beaten once again into second place is Welshman Elwyn Marthell-Jones, just 6 minutes behind, with the middle of the field still a long way back. Peter Goran sprints to a finish after 4 3/4 hours, but not all competitors are able to enjoy the euphoria of completing the 40k race, as David Marsden soon discovers.
3:42, well done.
It's really a journey of attrition for the body. At some point it says enough's enough and just gives up.
Lift his legs up to raise his blood pressure.
I had a Maasai running with me. We couldn't communicate much, but you could feel a lot between us.
I think it's important to realise that it is absolutely possible to live a fulfilled life and to be happy, although you may not necessarily be as well equipped to get through life as everybody else. I have to try much harder, but I'm very fortunate. And I think the important truth of this issue is that for everybody at home watching this, count your blessings. You know, don't wait till you've lost something to really appreciate its value. We have so much that we take for granted.
Day 7, and the splendour of Kilimanjaro beckons. 5 days and 12,500 feet await.
To find out how fit you are, you need to come and do something which tests you to the limits. And by far, I think this is probably one of the hardest challenges in the world, because it's over a fortnight. If the endurance events don't get you, the altitude might, or even the fatigue.
Initial progress is painfully slow. The rainforest with its steep, muddy terrain totally saps everyone's energy.
Maybe just tell him to slow down a little bit.
Carrying their own kit adds an immense strain as the team negotiate the dense foliage towards Big Tree Camp.
Welcome to Big Tree Camp. Tomorrow we'll be starting round about 7, taking our kit. Then in the afternoon we've got our run from the plateau, from Chira Plateau up to Johnsall Point.
We're now at 3,300. We started at about 2:07, so we're at least 4 1/4 hours into it.
And as the hours pass, the Chira Plateau, a sunken volcanic crater millions of years old, sprawls into the distance, revealing the snow-capped peak of Africa's highest mountain.
This afternoon we've got a 500-metre climb to Johnsall Point. Elwyn and Rob are star athletes who are going to jog it and run it. But because of the altitude, most people are going to look to fast walk it.
I'm surprised I feel as good as I do. I seem to have acclimatised pretty well. I'm not going to be the first one home, so we just get on with it.
A foot race after 6 hours hiking is tough at any time, but at 11,500 feet, it's an awesome task. An elephant's tooth is placed at the summit of Johnsall Point. The competitors must reach the summit at 13,000 feet, touch the tooth to mark their ascent time, and return.
Wasn't as bad as I was expecting.
Yeah. Elephant tooth, eh?
Yeah. Welcome, Mr. Chris Moon. Thanks. Ah.
Boom.
The estimated race time up and down is 2 to 3 hours, yet extraordinarily the leaders come into view just over an hour after the start, and this time it's Elwyn who crosses the line first,
1:06.
with Robert just 10 seconds behind.
20.
Well done, mate.
Yeah, well done, Neville.
I know I'm going to make it to the top of Killy for two reasons. One is because I've never not finished any race I've started. The other reason is because Chris Moon is here. And no matter how bad I feel, when I see him, I know that he's got to be struggling a bit more than me. And it just motivates me to, you know, if he can do it, I think anything's possible, and I know I can make it to the top.
Leaving the Shira Plateau behind after a bitterly cold night camping on the floor of the crater, dawn brings a long, slow trudge through constantly thinning air, while the sheer scale of the task ahead looms larger and larger still. Driven by the desire to achieve a common goal, the group snakes its way upwards through a landscape of rugged desolation and overwhelming beauty.
You do need an incredible amount of fitness to be able to do an event like this, but you also need a lot of mental fitness as well, because it's just so easy to give up. But team spirit's excellent. You just want to take part and you just want to keep going.
I feel good. I'm apprehensive about the mountain. I'm really quite concerned. It's going to take a lot of willpower, a lot of stamina and a lot of drive to get me to the top.
Today was fine for me. My concerns really are with the group and the climb, leaving here at about 3 a.m. tomorrow morning. We were going to do a short acclimatisation work, but listening to everybody, they would much prefer to rest. That's by far and away the most sensible course of action. We have 3,400 feet to climb tomorrow morning to get to the summit. I've climbed this mountain before. There are no guarantees that I'll get to the top. I feel pretty confident. I think the secret is to take it slowly. At the moment, I'm very happy with everything. I have my fingers crossed. It's great that people have got onto the concept of this being a team event, and the strong ones are very ready to help those who might need help. So we'll have to see how we go tomorrow. I'm always optimistic.
Yeah. Okay, folks, let's roll.
It's 3 a.m., 16,000 feet and minus 10 degrees. As the altitude increases, the temperature plummets to minus 25. The amount of oxygen in the air at this height is 70% less than at sea level, causing the heart rate to more than double as the body struggles to cope with its alien environment.
Go away, Steve.
Because you're so fit, even when you go slow, you walk faster than most people. So I'll go in front. If at any time you want me to slow up, you promise you'll tell me.
Progress is painfully slow as the group pass through 18,500 feet. Legs like lead and lungs gasping for air. But with the journey almost complete, morale surges, and the inner strength and team spirit that brought these 11 men this far finally drives them onto the summit.
Welcome. Excellent. Well done.
Well done, guys.
Excellent.
I've learned how stubborn I can be in as much as I won't quit.
I've learnt that my body can go a lot further than I thought it could.
Good job, guys.
Life is too short to be a tired and timid soul. We've got to get out there and do the very best we can. When you know you've done your best, you can have peace of mind. Only a fool would come to extreme Africa and say, I've conquered the mountains. I've done the ultramarathon and the marathon, I've conquered Africa. Only a fool would say that. But what we can say is that we came here and climbing those mountains and doing those long runs helped us conquer something in ourselves.
Mama, usinitume Bulawayo. Mama, usinitume Bulawayo. Kama nitakukumbuka nitapaswa nirudi. Kama nitakukumbuka nitapaswa nirudi. Linda, usiogope tutaonana. Linda, usiogope tutaonana. Hata miaka ikipita Linda tutaonana. Hata miaka ikipita Linda tutaonana.